Okay, I thought this could be just kind of a fun idea for a video heading into the Super Bowl. I don't really know how much it matters. I just thought it'd be maybe entertaining, if nothing else. What I'm going to do is I am going to go through every single position and say if these two teams were combined. Let's say that we have another Steagles situation. Two teams are getting combined. Who would be in the starting lineup between these two teams? So for every position, who I think the starter would be, it could be a way to see, compare these rosters against each other, and just a fun video, hopefully. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's start with quarterback, which is probably the biggest no-brainer on this list. With all due respect to Jalen Hurts, I mean, you have to go Patrick Mahomes here. I'm trying to figure out how I should write this. Maybe I'll just put their numbers down on each of them. Obviously, Mahomes is, the best quarterback in the world, let alone the best quarterback in this game. For Hurts, I mean, he's very good, but just not on that level. I don't think even he would argue with that. For the running backs, though, you kind of have the other side, right? I mean, you got Saquon Barkley, so you gotta put him there. Again, this one might be the big. I said the last one might be the most obvious one. This one is equally as obvious, really. I mean, again, with all due respect to the Chiefs' backfield. Saquon Barkley's, close enough. It's on there. Saquon Barkley is an MVP candidate, and the Chiefs, that's just not their game, is getting the superstar, running backs. That's just not what they do. I guess technically they did try with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It just didn't work out, but still. Let's go to receivers who, again, there's some receivers I like on this Chiefs roster. I like Xavier Worthy, but I think you got to go two Eagles here. I think A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are the two players, right? I don't think that's a crazy take. I mean, they're both really good. These are both Pro Bowl caliber guys who, for the Chiefs, that's just not what they have in their arsenal. So, yeah, that's where I think that feels fair. For tight end, this is the first one where I think you could legitimately argue if you want. Dallas Goedert is a really good tight end, and I think that you could definitely say maybe he is better than Kelsey at this point in their respective careers. Obviously, Kelsey, career-wise has the edge. I still just gotta lean Kelsey, though. I mean, he's, again, Hall of Famer, always shows up in the big moments, Again, Goddard is great. Don't get me wrong, and you could make an argument for him. I just think that I like Kelsey a little bit more, so I'm going to go with that. The offensive line is interesting. So, again, how do I want to do this? If I said these two teams have combined, well, I guess technically, can I move Thuney back to guard? I think I'm not going to do that just because this is in part like a Super Bowl preview. So I'm going to say what position they'll play in the Super Bowl. That's how I'm going to keep things. So, first things first, I mean, Jordan, there's going to be a lot of Eagles on this list, but there will be some Chiefs players. I think first, Jordan Mailata, to me, feels like, again, I think he's probably the best tackle in football for me, personally. I think he's really good. He's going to be a lock at the left guard, or excuse me, at the left tackle position, so I'll put him there. And then if I'm not going to put Thuney at guard, that also makes the situation there pretty easy, where you got to go Landon Dickerson, who is, I would definitely say the better player than the Chiefs backup guard. That's kind of obvious. Although I am going to give the center to the Chiefs here. I think the Creed Humphrey would be my pick at center. And for right guard, I think I'm also going to go Trey Smith over Mekhi Becton, even though I like a lot of what Becton does. At right tackle, kind of interestingly, both right tackles are definitely guys who like to, take a little bit of a early lead, we can say. But, again, Juwan Taylor, I don't think is a horrible player. He's not Lane Johnson. So 3 out of 5 for the Eagles here. Now, before we get into it with the defense, if you notice, I only have 10 players currently on the field for each team. I have a flex for each position because, again, do I do 3 receivers? How do you make it work? So I decided to go for flex. And here I think I will finally get Dallas Goedert in the mix here. I think he has to be the other tight end. Again, he was the closest probably to getting the a start somewhere here, so I think that feels fair. So yeah, I guess I'll just put it right here. This feels like it can work out. I'll skip ahead so you don't have to watch me struggle through this. But okay, next up, interior defensive line, and I have to go with one of each. To be honest, this is kind of an obvious choice right here. First, for the Chiefs, Chris Jones. I mean, again, maybe the best pass rusher from the inside in the league, and the only reason he doesn't have more accolades is because he had to play next or in the same league as Aaron Donald for a decade. The other guy is another one who you could argue is maybe, also someone who could be argued as one of the best interior guys in the league. Two of the best in the league, Jalen Carter and Chris Jones. This makes the inside very easy. Edge rush, there are some questions, I think you could say. To me, though, I think for the first one, and these aren't in any particular order, but I think I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to also have a Chiefs and a Eagles player. Josh Sweat, for me, for the Eagles, is a really underrated player. He's out there basically every snap in these playoffs. I mean, he's playing a ton, and he has a really, high advanced stats, but also just when you watch him, you can clearly tell he is a force to be reckoned with. As for the other one, I am going to go George Karlaftis, who is another guy who I think has been a really nice piece for the Kansas City Chiefs since they drafted him. So those are my four defensive linemen, even though there are other good defensive linemen in the Super Bowl. Interestingly enough, for linebackers, I am also going to go for right down the middle, going to go one of each here, as both of these teams have very good linebackers. I think so. Zach Bond is, to me, the clear-cut number one linebacker in this game. He's incredible. What he's done this season, he's an all-pro. Like, that feels obvious. I really like Nick Bolton as a player. I think that he probably could have made it regardless, even if Nakobe Dean is healthy. But again, the Eagles have an injured linebacker, so that makes it kind of obvious that Nick Bolton has to be the guy here. For safeties, again, there's safeties I like for the Chiefs, but like, I really do think that the Eagles have kind of take the cake in both of these. I think I'm going to give them both the nod with C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Reed Blankenship as my two picks. They've both been really good this year. And C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who I've been critical of in the past, part of it is because he would always talk trash about my favorite quarterbacks, be it Tom Brady or Baker Mayfield. But still, nonetheless, I don't know if he did a great job backing it up when he was with Detroit, has done a great job at backing it up this season, and Reed Blankenship's very good as well. So those are my two safety picks. As for corners, so Trent McDuffie, I think, has to be on the list here. So Trent McDuffie, going to put him down. I do have a question as to who else I want here. Does it look weird having one red on the left when all the other reds are on the right? A little bit. I'll fix that. But yeah, I do kind of feel like for Trent McDuffie, I mean, he feels like a lock. He's, again, an all-pro, one of the better players in the league. The other corner, though, is my question. And to be honest, like, it's not even a question of do I want to pick an Eagle or a Chief. It's which Eagle do I want to pick, because they've had multiple good corners this year. I think that Quinyon Mitchell has done a really nice job since stepping in. Cooper DeJean's played really well. Darius Slay is probably just going to be my pick. Again, if I'm talking who would I want to start, I think I would just go with the guy who, A, is still getting number one matchups, so his advanced stats, are a little bit tougher just because he has to deal with that. And B, I just think is someone who I just think I would trust more in a bigger spot. Again, he's not called medium play Slay. He's big play Slay. For the flex on the defense now, I could go with a linebacker, but I don't really want to do that. I could go with a safety, but I think I got to stick with corner, and I think I kind of got to stick with another Eagles corner. I think this is where I will go Quinyon Mitchell to round out. I guess really what I would do is here, I'll move him over here. We're going to move Trent McDuffie into the slot, who obviously he's played a lot more outside this year, but he can be a good slot corner. He's going to cover those two tight ends that I have sitting right there, and then we'll go Quinyon Mitchell as my final piece here. So yeah, that's who I would have starting if these two teams combine, which I guess if we want to try and put a bow on it and take anything away from all of this silliness, I mean, the one thing we could look at is you do see a lot more Eagles on this list, which is kind of expected, right? I mean, I do think the Eagles have a bit more of a deep team. You look at, just counting right here, I only have 8 Chiefs players out of the 22 players on the board. But at the same time, the obvious, the quarterback matters a lot more. So that's where things get different. And of course, there's coaching and all that stuff. But yeah, a little bit deeper of this Eagles team is kind of how I see it. But yeah, those are my thoughts on all of this. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.